This video is brought to you by Fender. Born in 1909, Clarence Leonidas Fender never had any formal training in electronics or engineering, yet displayed an obsession with radios from a young age. He studied accountancy, but set up a side hustle building and maintaining PA systems for local performances and sporting events. After a brief stint in San Luis Obispo, Leo and his wife moved back to Fullerton, where he set up Fender's radio service, a small shop that sold and serviced radios and increasingly amplifiers brought in by local musicians who needed his help. One of them was Doc Kaufman, and the two developed a bond over a shared love of gadgets and engineering. They went into business together, filing a patent for a new type of pickup before moving into lap steel guitars and amplifiers. The business was slowly making a name for itself, but Doc Kaufman was afraid of the risks that true growth demanded and traded his share of the company to Leo in 1945 in exchange for a punch press. History could have gone in a very different direction at this moment, but Leo Fender was not one to give up. Few could have imagined the effect this man would have on the sound of the 20th century. As Kaufman and Fender folded, Leo set up his new firm, Fender Manufacturing. With few resources, he prioritized durability and ease of manufacture and maintenance, and soon acquired a reputation for sturdy, reliable, quality amplifiers. He renamed the company Fender Electric Instrument Company in 1947 and began a sales and distribution arm, Fender Sales Incorporated, in 1953. He was joined by Don Randall as head of sales, having previously met him at Fender's distributor, Artec, the radio and television equipment company.
When I first met Leo, I had a radio equipment store, and he had a little repair shop in a service station. And I met him when I went to Fullerton to the service station to see him, and I started selling him some repair parts at that time. But it didn't take long till we were distributing some little 6-string steel guitars. They were just a single slab, with strings on it, is all it was. It wasn't much.
Don's contribution to Fender's success really cannot be overstated. He was the marketing genius behind the names Telecaster, after the newly available television, and Stratocaster, after the Boeing B-47 Stratojet, and perhaps the Pontiac Strato Streak.
I named every one of the products we made except one, and that was a bass. I don't remember which one it was, but Leo wanted it called something, I don't remember. And I named every amplifier and every guitar and everything that we made.
In his obituary of Don Randall, the writer Tom Wheeler wrote, "It was in the sales and marketing, how they were presented to the public, where he really made his mark on the entire industry, because he changed the way the general public viewed guitars and playing music. In Fender's catalogues, you saw young people and you saw people playing all styles of music. They were having fun. They were indoors, they were outdoors. You saw guitars at the backyard barbecue. You saw them with kids with surfboards at the beach, on stages, and recording studios." Now, to fully understand the significance of the Stratocaster, it's vital to take a quick spin around its predecessor, the Telecaster. A very brief history. With the Telecaster, the world's first mass-produced solid-body electric guitar, Leo and his team turned the established conventions of guitar building on their head. Inspired by the practicality of the solid-body Hawaiian guitars that started the company, Leo Fender wanted to create a robust, hardy guitar that could be easily mass-produced. It needed to be practical to manufacture. No acoustic body, nothing hand-carved. The neck and body should be able to be made separately and bolted together. No separate fingerboard either, just frets slid into grooves cut directly into the wood. Single coil pickups had proved popular with players, the bright tone especially welcomed by country players as they competed with the sounds of banjos and fiddles, so they added one of those in, as well as a removable control plate so the electronics could be easily accessed and repaired. The result, the Esquire, was launched at the NAMM show in 1950. Compared to the more ornate offerings on show that year, it looked unsophisticated and clunky. Journalists reporting the offerings at that year called it a canoe paddle, a snow shovel, and even a toilet seat with strings. In the face of this bad press, salesmen concluded that the markets just weren't ready for such an instrument. But the feedback from those who mattered, professional touring musicians and session players, gave Leo Fender confidence that he was onto something good.
We started out, the first guitar we had was just a more or less slab type guitar. However, it was very good, it worked fine. And that was the Esquire, I think, wasn't it?
By late 1950, two very similar models were in production, the single pickup Esquire and the two pickup model named the Broadcaster. This name was quickly changed after launch because of a strongly worded letter from Gretsch, whose range of Broadcaster with a K drums were already on sale.
I was promoting this and advertising it, and the Fred Gretsch Company got hold of me. They said, hey, we own that name, blah, 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 take it out. So I had to clean up everything and take it out. And I mean, we didn't have an argument or anything. I just said, sorry about that, I didn't know it.
Don Randall quickly came up with the new name, and so the Telecaster was born. It quickly gained a reputation as a versatile, reliable working musician's instrument, and sales took off. And just 3 years later, Leo Fender and his team would introduce the world to the Stratocaster. In time, it would become the most popular guitar in the world, no doubt the most played and the most copied to boot. The Stratocaster. Leo Fender's reputation continued to grow with another genuinely innovative design, the Precision Bass in 1951, before beginning work on the Strat. It was competition from Gibson, who brought out their Les Paul in 1952, that resulted in the development of this iconic guitar. Compared to Gibson's Les Paul standard, the Telecaster was considered by some to be too ugly and workmanlike. Don Randall called it a plain Jane instrument. Randall was the main point of contact for customer feedback from dealers and players, and challenged Leo Fender to up his game. Leo's closest collaborator in the Strat's creation was the Hawaiian guitarist and engineer Freddie Tavares, famously responsible for the opening bars of the Merry Melodies, i.e. the Looney Tunes theme. Aided by George Fullerton and Don Randall, and the musicians Bill Carson and Rex Gallion, the team set to work. They had a vision. It had to be comfortable to play. Bill Carson had complained about the way that the Tele dug into his ribs during studio work. Its contoured body shape was designed by Fender and Tavares, who sketched it out on paper. Although, as we know, memories fade over time. There are various conflicting stories of who created it in the room. The body would still be made from swamp ash, but the new shape meant it could be comfortably played sitting or standing. It had to have a vibrato device. Leo Fender was deeply inspired by Paul Bigsby's vibrato tailpiece, which was increasingly being fitted to Gretsch and Gibson guitars, and Don Randall needed more features to help sell the new model. Ever the salesman, he also asked they leave a little more room in the headstock to accommodate the company logo. It also had an improved range. 3 pickups and a vibrato unit would make it a highly versatile instrument with more tonal possibilities than the Telecaster. The pickups were not dissimilar to the Telecaster's bridge pickup design, but wound into a narrower coil, resulting in a clearer, brighter sound than the Tele. The team prioritised ergonomic design on the three-way switch, placing the volume control right where the player's right-hand pinky finger would fall naturally. Hoping to present the finished model at the 1953 NAMM show, 100 Strats had been placed into production, but the vibrato unit proved harder than expected to perfect. George Fullerton said, "I couldn't wait that morning to get the first one off the line. I grabbed the one and tested it out, and it was terribly bad sounding. I rushed to the lab, Leo and I looked at it, and we called Freddie over to look at it. That vibrato sounded like a tin can. We all agreed it wasn't going to work, so we shut down the line. It was a sad day. It was then that Leo went back to the drawing board." Leo and his team scrapped the overly complicated unit they'd spent months on and went back to basics. The new and improved version, an all-in-one adjustable bridge, vibrato system and tailpiece, was a masterstroke in elegant engineering. By early 1954, the first Strats were ready for the market, with full production beginning in the summer. It retailed at $249.50 with the tremolo and $229.50 for the basic model, about $70 more than the Tele. But guitarists were slow to accept the Strat. Revolutionary as it was, Bill Carson enthusiastically modelled the guitar he had helped create. But it was only when Buddy Holly began using a 54 Strat that word really began to spread, thanks to his many television and concert appearances up until his death in 1959. All this history leads me on to this guitar that you've seen me use to record throughout this video. Fender have brought out a range of limited edition models, but this is the 70th anniversary American Vintage 2 1954 Stratocaster. It has a two-piece ash body, it has a gloss nitrocellulose lacquer finish, maple 1954 C-shaped neck with a 7.25-inch radius, 25.5-inch scale length, and 21 vintage-style frets. For the pickups, we have 70th anniversary 54 single coils with a three-way switch, and then, well, you'll notice the period-correct vintage-style hardware. It has a round disc-style string tree, softer top corner radius pickup covers, football-shaped switch tip, tall boy knobs with slim skirts and small numbering, and the back plate with circular string holes. It also comes with a glorious tweed case decked out with commemorative accessories. As I said at the beginning, this video was made possible by Fender, simply because I mentioned, while I was visiting them in Corona, how excited I was about making my own Strat history, which I was already reading up on. They are so good to me that they said, well, we have something that might inspire you and tie it all together. And that's when I had the first look at this guitar on the production line. So thank you, Fender. What a dream come true. Thank you so much for watching, and if you do want to learn more about the Strat's history, I highly recommend Dave Hunter's excellent book, Fender Telecaster and Stratocaster, The Story of the World's Most Iconic Guitars, which provided a lot of background info for this video. Any errors are my own. But of course, as always, I will be seeing you here again very, very soon.